I hope that everyone is having a whiptastic happy holidays, and I am so sorry for being MIA for like so long, especially to my fan supporters. I just been having the worst luck becoming sick simply because no one's wearing a mask anymore, and it's basically open season on others getting sick right now. It wasn't COVID, thankfully, and I've never had it yet. And I really feel as if you're having symptoms of feeling sick that you should not be out in public. You know, not until you're feeling better and, you know, not contagious anymore. But, you know, the issue is that people just really don't give a fuck anymore about others and only care about themselves by abusing their power and becoming irresponsible with it. I even posted something, you know, on my page about how it's important to wear a mask, but then I got shit for it. I mean, look, I missed the days where, you know, the flu was like, okay, not really happening, and no one's really getting sick because everybody was wearing a mask and social distancing. We still have this COVID to deal with, but I get it. It's been way too fucking long. Everybody's sick of it. There's vaccines out there. However, people are still getting sick, and it's getting really bad out there, so just be careful. Anyway, what I'm about to talk about has nothing to do with my exclusive reveal that is Spider-Man related, in the sense that a studio is interested in having a certain Spider-Man actor for a Marvel film. I will reveal as to which Spider-Man actor, which studio, and Marvel film it is for my fan supporters at the end of this video. So if you want to find out, join the fan support. And look, it's very website news, and I hope that it actually happens. There's just one thing that I have an issue with, but I'm going to discuss that later. I'll also be doing something different with that part of the video this time. And, you know, pretty much I will no longer, you know, upload the full video on there. And just the part towards the end of these videos where it's only exclusive for fan supporters, just to make it easier for them to watch instead of rewatching the whole thing all over again. And I do want to talk about as to what in the fucking hell is going on with DC right now, because all hell broke loose the other night, to the point where now Fire James Gunn is trending worldwide on social media. People are fucking livid, and I don't blame them. And the ironic part is that James keeps going on and on about how no one knows as to what's going on except for himself and Peter. Yet the Hollywood fucking Reporter seems to know about what's going on, because James in a sense stated that as far as the story yesterday in the Hollywood Reporter, that some of it's true, some of it is half true, some of it is not true, and some of it we haven't decided whether or not it's true or not. That's fucking confusing as hell. Because he's sort of not confirming or denying anything. He's just leaving it up in the fucking air as to what the fuck is really going on. And, you know, basically stated the opportunity to build upon what he has worked in DC so far and to help to rectify what has not worked. Okay. I know when he stated that, people are worried because as far as we know, and look, granted, not everyone is a fan of Zack Snyder's films. Okay. However, it does show that whenever he has his freedom, his creative decisions, and basically a longer film, his story gets better, because that's the problem, is that, you know, he's really good with visually, you know, shooting effects and everything and scenes. However, as far as telling a story, it becomes a problem. But I mean, look, Zack Snyder's Justice League, yeah, it was 4 hours long, but he did really good with his story. But when you cut it short, it becomes a fucking problem. So even from, let's say, Man of Steel, which obviously is one of the most underrated Superman films ever made, which I absolutely love, it did well. But then we have Wonder Woman, which was, you know, obviously close to $1 billion, and then Aquaman made $1 billion. Batman v Superman really, you know, didn't really do that well. However, the extended cut was beautiful. I actually loved it. So I mean, look, his last film, obviously, you know, everyone loved it, especially the critics and the fans. So we don't know if that really, in James Gunn's point of view, is something that is basically, if it could rectify as to whether it's working or not. So that is the biggest question we have here. Because let me tell you something. James's The Suicide Squad, fucking bombed at the box office. I mean, it didn't really bomb completely, but it didn't make as much as the original. And that's, you know, telling it right there that, I mean, the dude's really good with the Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy films, especially the holiday special and everything, but he had a shot with DC, and Peacemaker was all right. It wasn't that fucking great, but it just goes to show that, you know, James isn't exactly, in a sense, ready to make a point. You know what I'm saying? Well, you know what I'm trying to say here is that, you know what I'm saying? Like, his movie wasn't as great as we were expecting it to be, you know? And it kind of sucks that it didn't really do as well as the original film, which obviously a lot of people didn't like, especially Jared Leto's Joker, but that's just something else that I'm not really going to go into. Anyway, so he also stated that we are not going to make every single person happy every step of the way, but we can promise everything we do is in the service of the story and in the service of DC characters that we know you cherish and we have cherished our whole lives. Okay, that sounds really good. However, look, I'm not going to go over as to everything that was reported because everything's fucking confusing as hell. But, you know, that article, you know, caused the internet to explode by stating that James Gunn is possibly going to completely reboot the DCEU, which is not a DCU, and start all over again, which means recasting every fucking character. That is what really pissed and is concerning the fan base right now. Because who wants 10 more years of them redoing everything just so that they could play catch up with Marvel? I'm sorry. It's just, there shouldn't be any catching up. DC should be its own fucking thing, and that's where they fucked up. Because they were too busy trying to catch up with Marvel. Yet Marvel has already established solo films, and then all of a sudden started building up towards the Avengers film. You know, DC just went right into it, you know, and that was their mistake. And only counting on one director to do these films, which was another mistake. But again, I love the Zack Snyder films. You know, I don't have really an issue with it. The only issue I had was Wonder Woman 84. That was just really bad. Anyway, so look, then there was a situation recently where Deadline Hollywood came in and other reports clarifying as to what's really going on. Okay, so this makes things better. And the thing is that, you know, number one, Gal Gadot isn't finished with Wonder Woman. That the third film isn't exactly deaded, like the way the Hollywood Reporter pointed out. People ran with that because the original story was that it didn't fit with the plans that James Gunn had. And I'm not really going to start mentioning Peter because although it's a mutual decision, it's James that's really in charge of, you know, the film division, you know, and Peter's got the TV and animation, all that shit. And that was actually Patty Jenkins that refused to edit her script and was given a chance to allow her to direct the third film after receiving notes on a treatment she submitted to the studio. So that clearly means that Warner's, along with James, wants to keep Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Otherwise, they wouldn't have offered to give it another chance. So that really kind of debunks the whole restarting of the DCEU. Okay, or the DCU, whatever the fuck they're calling it now. Well, DCU, obviously, is what they're being called. And yet, it was Warner Brothers Picture chiefs Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi that had concerns about the treatment before Safran and Gunn weighed in. They have every right to be concerned because, you know, Jenkins' pitch had character arc problems, which rivaled that of Wonder Woman 1984, and we sure as hell don't want another fucking version of that film ever again. And it sucks because the first film was really good. So when a sequel came out, I was like, what the fuck happened here? It was just, the ending was just really fucking weird. The movie's just, I don't know, something I wouldn't want to watch all over again, I'll tell you that. And the thing is that Gal Gadot was supposed to receive $20 million for Wonder Woman 3, while Patty Jenkins would be receiving $12 million. So the question now is, will Gal Gadot continue as the character without Jenkins' involvement? She's very passionate about the character, so as much as this sucks, I'm pretty sure she's not gonna, like, you know, say fucking I'm out. And case in point, the third film is not completely deaded the way Hollywood Reporter was fucking putting it. It's a director who left because of creative differences. And that happens a lot. You know, a different director comes in, takes over, and that's just the end of it. And look, the fans want Gal Gadot's version of Wonder Woman that we saw in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Fucking perfect. And not the one from '84. That was just a downgrade, in a sense. Okay. And the other issue is that part of the article that caused all the confusion and hate was, pretty much just pure speculation from Hollywood Reporter. But that flew over everyone's heads and people ran with it and went into panic mode. I don't blame them. Because when you say that Jason Momoa is fucking done with Aquaman, he's going to be possibly playing Lobo, and that, Man of Steel 2 ain't fucking happening anymore, just when Henry Cavill went through all that shit for so many fucking years, and then all of a sudden he says, hey, I'm back, I'm doing more projects, and then to give him the fucking shaft for Man of Steel 2, which Charles Roven was, going to be in charge of, and they were looking for a writer and a director, which Andy Muschietti was interested in directing, and paying homage to the Richard Donner films. I mean, look, yeah, of course everyone's going to flip their fucking shit, because although Black Adam was liked by some, hated by others, and it didn't really do that well at the box office, what really came out of it was the main fact that everyone wanted to see Henry Cavill's return as fucking Superman. And I will never forget the theater reaction the audience reaction to people losing their fucking shit when they saw Henry Cavill come back as fucking Superman. So, I mean, to give that poor guy the fucking shaft after he just left the fucking Witcher, which obviously it had nothing to do with him having more time in his schedule to also play Superman, but because he had creative differences with the Witcher showrunner, which obviously he's very fond of paying respects to the original source material, and that's what kind of led to him leaving the show. However, most importantly, he saw an opening for Superman, which he's been like fucking shafted for 6 years of trying to get in, and thanks to The Rock and his ex-wife, they managed to get him in. So I mean, to give this fucking guy the shaft, people are really fucking pissed, because regardless of what they decide to do, people love Henry Cavill as Superman. Fuck him over like that. Fans will never, ever forgive James Gunn or David Zaslav if they okay that shit. And look, in the last video that I did, all right, I revealed to my fan supporters that yes, David Zaslav loves Zack Snyder's Justice League and wants to meet with him like he has with everyone else that was wronged by the old regime. That he's interested in asking Zack if he wants to return to complete his trilogy, and a Hollywood Reporter did admit that they were interested in doing that prior to James and Peter being hired, so my source is accurate in that aspect. Now, could things change with the new plan? Possibly, but highly unlikely, because the last thing that DC needs right now is backlash, and it's already fucking happening, yet nothing is official yet. And no one knows what James's plan is, although Hollywood Reporter seems to, he basically states that not everyone knows as to what's going on, be it the Hollywood Reporter obviously knew something. But that's not really a big thing, though, because obviously, confirming that, Patty Jenkins, well, they didn't even say that. They just said that Wonder Woman is dead. The third film is dead, not fucking happening. They didn't mention the part where they were giving Patty Jenkins a chance to, let them give her notes and rewrite the script. She basically just didn't want to do that. She made a stand and she fucking left. So that doesn't mean that the third film is fucking canceled. It's not going to fucking happen. It just means that there's creative differences with the director and that they could bring somebody else in. They should have said that from the fucking start instead of starting as bullshit and then speculating and saying that, oh, everything else is going to be fucking canceled. They're going to pull Henry's fucking scene in The Flash, which is very short, out of the fucking movie. Ben Affleck wasn't in test screen. Listen, look, with test screenings, okay, I don't even think that Henry Cavill's return as Superman was not in the Black Adam test screening. That wasn't until they added it afterwards. So not every test screening is basically as to what we're gonna see in theater. Sometimes they change things, so we don't know fucking shit yet for sure, even though that's the rumor as to what's going on. But I mean, look, basically James stated that not everyone's gonna be pleased, and it's leaning towards moving on from the Snyderverse, which is a fucking bad idea. Here's the thing. I understand that everyone's saying I'm fucking crazy, that they should move away from the Snyderverse and do something different. Okay, fine, but look, let the man finish his 2 films and do whatever the fuck you want afterwards. It's that simple, because if you look at all the merchandising for the film, majority of it was sold out, right? Which means that the film, as controversial as Zack Snyder may be for some fans, it does fucking sell, and Zaslav fucking knows this. Okay? Give the fans what they want so that they can continue to support the new plan, because the last thing you need is to piss off the fan base that has a global reach. The whole point is to unite the fans and not fucking divide them. We don't need this shit. It's been divided since Joss Whedon's fucking Justice League, and it's been fucking hell for years with DC. And they're losing really bad to Marvel. Marvel's got their fucking shit straight. And look, this isn't a small fan base, okay? Most of you think that this is just a little chunk of the fan base. You know, that's a Snyderverse. This is a huge fucking chunk globally that watches these films over and over again. And they spend a shitload of money, not only on the merchandising, but money on their own advertisement for these fucking films. I mean, you know, doing the flyers with the banners up in the air with the airplane, setting up the whole thing in Times Square. I mean, that's fucking a lot of money. And they're doing it out of their own fucking pocket. That's how much they love Zack Snyder and the Snyderverse. And giving money towards suicide prevention. That's a lot of fucking money that they came up with. And I honestly have never witnessed such a powerful and passionate fan base like the Snyder Cut fans. And yes, we're all aware of the fucking trolls, but look, every fan base has its fucking bad influence. But that should never outweigh the positive aspects that came out of it. And no fucking Marvel fan would ever fucking spend a fucking nickel for their directors or projects on their own. I don't see that happening. I mean, even with the whole Oscar thing, where the fuck were you Marvel fans for Avengers Endgame and fucking Spider-Man No Way Home? And yet it was Zack Snyder's Justice League that fucking won. You know, I mean, the Marvel fan base is just sometimes shit. I'm being honest here. And this is what Zaslav sees and why it's an important factor. You know, and if he really wanted to restart, he wouldn't have bothered to allow Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi to greenlit the return of Henry Cavill and Black Adam, okay? Because he's also a huge fan of Henry. And the man just fucking, like I've said before, he left the Witcher franchise to leave himself more open to more Superman films and appearances. And I'm telling you, fans will never forgive James Gunn, and I don't blame them, or Zaslav, if they give Henry the boot once again. Then what the fuck was the point of having him return and firing all the anti-Snyder employees? I mean, David Zaslav was giving us fucking hope. He said he was going to clean up. He fucking did that. He said that the main goal is to not only focus on a Trinity, but to make up with those who were wronged by the old regime. That's basically as to what his priority was. And to go this far and fuck it all up doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Even if James's plan is to reboot the entire DCU and get rid of those actors and take a really high risky chance of starting from scratch all over again, David Zaslav has the fucking final say. And that's what's important here. And I'm sure at this point he would say the fuck you are, you know, if that's what you want to do, because you know how many fans would be really fucking upset with this decision, especially with what's trending right now on social media. Fire James Gunn. I mean, the numbers are getting even higher. Maybe this news is actually showing what will work and what won't, because it's obviously causing a massive amount of fans to be very fucking pissed off with the possibility of starting all over again. You know, so they probably will just say, hey, you know what, maybe we shouldn't go in that direction because we want to unite the fans and not divide them. I mean, look, here's another point. Remember when they had Steppenwolf, you know, in the Black Adam trailer, and everyone flipped the fuck out because they hate Joss Whedon's Justice League, okay? And I remember The Rock, and this is why I love The Rock. Some people would say he has a big ego problem, but I don't give a flying fuck. The man got the job done. He says, you know what, the fans are upset about that. Let's fucking take it down and change it because we're listening to the fans. DC's listening to the fans, and we want to please you guys. You know what? That's what fucking works. The problem is that James Gunn is not like that. He will make a decision even if he knows damn well that it's going to piss people off. And that is what's worrying people, you know, because that's just how he is. He has an ego himself. Don't forget that he went after Grace Randolph and so many others for stuff that wasn't legit. But here's the thing. You can't really do that kind of shit. That's the kind of behavior that's really like disrespectful. Like, I love the guy and everything, but it's like, don't go around telling people, you know, well, making fun of them or just saying, you know what, it's bullshit. But I mean, it's fine when you call out people, but the way he does it is kind of like dickish. And you know, The Rock is just the type of person to where he's more focused on pleasing the fans rather than fucking having a chance of pissing them off, because that's just how business works. It's a business. You're a customer. The customer is always fucking right. You don't make up for it, you're gonna lose a fucking customer. That's just what it is at the end of the day. And look, I think that if anything would be upsetting is that if they decided to do a sequel to Justice League but without Zack Snyder, which in a sense won't make everyone happy, but at least the Snyderverse continues on, because as long as those actors are still playing those characters, even without Zack's involvement, the Snyderverse is not fully deaded, but just moving on without its original creator. That's where I would see people being upset. But you know what? Not everyone's going to be happy. I could see why James Gunn would say something like that, but I don't fucking know. Nobody fucking knows. Only Peter and James supposedly know what's going on, and they're going to present their shit to David Zaslav of it next week, but I doubt we're going to hear as to what's going on out of that. As of next week, probably have to wait a long fucking time before we hear anything as to what's really going on, and just a lot of speculation and rumors from people who are so-called calling themselves scoopers. These fake fucking scoopers online are like, yep, that's it, Henry Cavill's done, blah blah blah, this and that, but it's like, yeah, we still don't know yet as to what the fuck is going on from James Gunn and Peter. So how the fuck do you know something that we don't? They're just basing it off what the Hollywood Reporter stated, which was pure speculation. Okay, and that's why sometimes I hate these fucking scoopers, is they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're just running with whatever they think is accurate, but they're just pulling shit out of their fucking ass sometimes. And look, I only think that it's fair to allow Zack to finish his trilogy, and whatever they decide to do afterwards should be respected. I mean, look, we got the Snyder Cut, thankfully, but you know, if people want him to finish his 2 other films, fine, have at it. And I mean, look, I'm thankful that, you know, we got to see his version of the film that was way better than the Joss Whedon version, and honestly his best work, because other than scrapping that Green Lantern scene, we got to see his version that Warner Brothers stated was too dark to begin with. Yet at the end of the day, the fans and critics even loved that version of the film, and that is in part a success. Now, if it was a failure once again, then obviously, you know, people wouldn't be wanting, well, obviously they'd want another, you know, try at the sequels, but still at the same time it was very successful, and Zaslav fucking knows this. And I know that everyone's worried, but we have confirmation now from the Hollywood Reporter that they did want to make a Justice League sequel with the original cast. The question of the day is, will that be part of something that would work in James Gunn's new plan or not? The important thing is that no matter what the final say is, it goes with David Zaslav, who's in favor of Zack Snyder in his last film, which is highly praised by both critics and general audiences and fans. The fans that buy the merchandise, the fans will fucking go see this film over and over again. You know what I'm saying? General audiences don't fucking do that shit. They see a movie, you know, once or twice or whatever. They're not out there like fucking, you know, searching the internet looking for merchandise and buying everything up. The fans are. And right now you're pissing off the fan base. You're treading on something very dangerous here. So we'll have to wait and see. And I'll be shocked if David actually decides to be in favor of Gunn, you know, by starting all over again. But again, that was just pure speculation from the Hollywood Reporter and not directly from James, even though he admitted that some of what was said has some truth to it, but which parts? Okay, so now I will discuss some news with my fan supporters that's Spider-Man related. So until next time on the same Spider time, same Spider channel, and same Spider place, Spidey Woman out.
Face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot.
Woo!